Boom. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, how are you?
Good, man. Good. This is my first official podcast.
Oh, nice. I'm sure you're going to be right at home, man. Anytime I've talked to you in the past, and I would say you have no problem striking up a meaningful martial arts conversation with people.
Yeah, I'm full of crap, man, so it's easy to do. How you
man.
doing?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Been doing lots of this type of stuff, like many other people in the industry, lots of video and just getting a lot of martial arts kind of theme podcasting as well.
Right.
And it's been good. So been productive.
That's good. It seems like some people are not doing anything and some people are slammed, some people are slammed not doing anything. So there's three parts of it.
It is interesting. I've been keeping busy recording. I teach college too. Wow. And we had to go all online. So I was doing podcasts, gym videos, Zoom classes for the kids. And then it's over here, we're 1812 and stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, how have you guys been adapting in your region? Like, do you guys have a plan for starting kids back or anything?
Yeah, we've already opened. We're already started back, So when everything hit, we just went to the virtual classes and like everybody else, and we rolled that out pretty well, really considering. I'm surprised how many people took on to it pretty well. And then I guess last week they said that that the gyms could open. So we can only have 9 kids at a time. So we have we can only have 10 people. So one's the instructor plus 9 kids, 9 students really. And so we just have morning classes. Matter of fact, they're going on right now. We have morning classes, evening classes, and at the bigger schools that have over 300 members, then we have to have like 2 evening classes. So they're doing teaching every class 3 times a day. So yeah, man, it's going good, but still a little bit slow. We're still doing the Zoom classes and the physical classes. And we're hoping, maybe next week or so, I don't know, I haven't heard an official word, that we'll go to what they call phase 2. And once we do phase 2, then we'll be pretty much back to normal, within certain guidelines, but for the most part, back to normal.
Yeah, that's great.
The hardest one is jiu-jitsu, man, because you can't really do jiu-jitsu without contact.
I know, man.
We're doing stuff with the grappling dummies and that kind of stuff, but man, that's just short-lived,
Yeah, it is. I put out like some stability ball drills and stuff. I mean, but still, do that in your living room, you'll bump into your coffee table.
Yeah. How do you get knocked out when you're the only person in the class?
Oh man, yeah. That's
awesome. But yeah, we're going to have to do like the underground, jiu-jitsu system where it's like, man, come on in at 3 o'clock for the secret class, man. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. That that's good to hear you guys. We're a little bit. They've allowed us to start adults back in Arkansas, but we're just a little ways out from being where you are on kids. That's like our phase 2.
Right. Okay.
Start having youth activities is what they're calling it.
Right. I got you.
Indoors.
Right. Yeah. We kind of, we might have slid under the radar a little bit because we're just kind of going in as a gym, right? So they said when gyms open, I think if we would have called code enforcement, they may have told us no, because they're considered a contact sport. But I didn't call. I just opened to take my chances. And because I really do believe, well, number one, we're not making any contact because it's karate. So, I mean, they can do their katas. And, there's so much they can do without touching each other. So, and that's what we're doing. So, it's working out good.
Yeah, I've really liked the content that everybody's been putting out in like shadow boxing and katas. You name it. I've seen people. And also people like one of my coaches, he never would have put videos out. And now I'm like, oh man, coach got this footwork video over here, this little class he's teaching, and sidekick video over here.
Yeah. That's cool. We did the same thing. We on our website has a student section, which we've never really utilized, right? But now we the first 2 weeks that this happened, I brought all my guys in and we just filmed hours of curriculum from their katas to Krav Maga, gun stuff, even some jiu-jitsu things we put in there as well. And so now there's a whole library, which is kind of cool. It's like, so the idea is you take a Zoom class, and then, we don't really get into the heart, because we might have on some of our Zoom classes, we'll have 200 people in the class. So it's kind of hard to teach specific curriculum. So we'll just, we'll teach combinations and stuff like you're talking about. And then they go to the website to actually work on their curriculum, because on the Zoom class, we put all 5 locations in one class, you know what I mean? So, which is good and bad, but it's also a lot of excitement when people are tuning in. There's like, damn, there's 250 people in class with them, and we got that class back to back to back. So it's like, because everybody's going to one thing instead of spread out through 5, So it's been interesting, but I'll be glad when it's back. I like it the way it was, for sure.
For sure, man. Likewise, and it's I'm off from teaching in the summer, and I was looking forward to, and I still am looking forward to doing a lot of stuff, some traveling. It sucks the Super Show's been canceled, man, and that's where I actually there, and then through Jiu-Jitsu is how I know you, right? And you've mentioned Jiu-Jitsu, but man, how did you get your start in martial arts? Now, I would say you are, in my mind, an industry leader, but you came up on a recent podcast with Alan Shade, and I was like, man, I would like to talk with Mr. Beard.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you. Yeah. So I got started, actually, it's a kind of a cool story. My dad passed away when I was 6 years old. And so my mom, trying to find some kind of, manly activity to put me in, found a martial arts school, and I was 7. So about a year after he passed, she put me in martial arts at 7 years old. And I took from a local guy named Don Owens, who just taught a real traditional Shotokan Japanese system, and did that for like 3 or 4 years. And then we moved, I just tried to find a school. And, my mom didn't know, she didn't know shit from Shinola when it came to martial arts. She was just like, probably opened the yellow pages and that'll work, So she puts me in a school, and, years on, that didn't take me years, but I didn't know who Bill Wallace was, but that's who the school was, right? So I started training with Superfoot, which I didn't know him. I just knew him as Mr. Bill. But so we took the class. So I took classes there, and ended up getting my black belt, with him in the early '90s. But yeah, so I kind of got started in 1976, and man, I've been going. I know, man. I keep reminding myself that, like, damn, I'm old, man. But yeah, 76, and got my black belt with Bill, and hell, and then he had a school, and of course he moved away, and he let some other local guys. You got your Don Crenshaw and Steve Stanford, like that. Steve was with where Chad Chilcutt came up, and then Patrick Wren was there. He had a lot of students. Bill had a lot of students here that kind of opened up their own schools and ran their schools and kind of individually. And I kind of fell in with Don Crenshaw's group. And then, I guess it was in 96 is when I decided to open my own school. I taught for him for probably 4 or 5 years, and I opened my school in 96. And man, it wasn't long after that. We had 2 schools, and 3, and then 4. And, now we have 5 schools. And yeah, so it's been rocking, really, nonstop. And it's so funny because it happened by accident, really, wasn't planned.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, I was just with my morning coffee about 6 a.m. I was watching some old Bill Wallace seminar on. It wasn't even a seminar, which I've watched some seminars on YouTube, but it was like a secrets of the sidekick instructional. He's wearing the American flag gi. Yeah. But man, I've got to train with Bill. My jiu-jitsu instructor is also like an 8th degree under Bill or something.
Yep. Drink, right? Yep.
Yes. So, and we've been doing, like, with Dring, I've been doing an individual podcast on each one of the arts he has a background with. And we're doing Superfoot system next.
Okay, good. Yeah. I like Dan. He's a great guy, man. Great guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Every time I've trained with Bill, it's a big takeaway, big influence on me, and a great guy. I've only trained with him at a seminar once, but like the super shows, and I've been around him a dozen times.
Of course. Yeah, he's just really unique in taking something relatively simple and making it super efficient. You know, I mean, the way he sets up his techniques is it's you know, it's nothing overly complicated, but it's highly efficient. I mean, he's won quite a few kickboxing matches, and yeah, he's you know, there's a reason he's famous for that reason, you know. So yeah, he's done good.
Yeah, wow, that's and I didn't know you had such a long history with Superfoot. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a long time. And you know, we opened the school, and you know, I guess I'm trying to get my years right. Opened it, and you know, and in the early 90s, you know, I guess it was what, 91, 92 is when UFC kind of came out, and started really seeing the jiu-jitsu. And at the time, I didn't want to jump on that bandwagon. A lot of people did. And looking back, I probably should have, but I you know, I was like, man, I'm still competing. I was competing pretty heavy myself in the early 90s. I was like, man, I'm focusing on that. But it took you know, a few years, and I guess, you know, probably 10 years, and you know, moving back up a little bit, you know, end up having a successful school. And I really did this just learning how to sell, because, you know, as a martial artist, we know how to punch and kick or choke people out, right? But nobody really knows how to sell. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who was pretty successful, and I was like, man, I wish I was a business expert. I wish I was a black belt in money, you know, a black belt in business, right? And he was like, man, you know, why don't you go to school? I was like, man, I don't have time to go to school. I don't even know, what school would you go to for being a black belt in business, you know? And he was like, man, just read some books. And he started spitting out all these books, you know, Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar and, you know, Tony Robbins. And he just started, and well, man, I just started going crazy, man. I literally went and read every one of these books. I mean, it took me a couple of years, but I mean, you know, a bookshelf full of, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just any of these self-help books, right? So I read these books, and I started literally applying these principles in my business. And next thing you know, and I was like, before that, or at the same time as this is going on, I was a police officer. So I was being a cop. I was working nights as a police officer, teaching classes during the day. And I was like, man, dude, I'm dying here. I mean, all I do is work. So I'm reading these books in the squad car, everywhere I could. And I finally realized, man, I could sell some membership. I finally learned, I used the techniques, right? So I used the techniques, and my school went from, you know, having, you know, 70 to 100 members to having, well, at one time I got up to having 650 members, or maybe even more than that at one time, but it got really big. So I quit being the cop, started doing that. And so I get a call from Century Martial Arts and said, hey, man, you know, what are you doing with all these uniforms you're buying and all this sparring gear you're buying? I'm like, well, what do you mean? What am I doing with it? You know, I didn't understand the question. And basically they were like, well, you're buying a lot of stuff. Are you selling it online? I'm like, no, it's for my students, you know. And they go, well, how many students do you have? And I told them, you know, 600, whatever members it was. And they're like, you have that many. Would you mind helping other schools? So, because, you know, in Century's mind, they're thinking, hey, man, if everybody bought this much, it'd help our business. I thought that was pretty smart of Century to say, hey, you know, if we could get a bunch of people buying stuff, it helps business. So, and I was like, yeah. So they'd already started, you know, developing Maya with Frank Silverman. And I know Frank also through the industry. So Frank Silverman's kind of getting this going. There's another guy back in the day named Keith Scott that was involved, and Mike Metzger and myself. And we kind of launched this whole Maya thing. And I'm telling this whole story to say that's how I ended up meeting Liborio and American Top Team and all these guys, because they brought us in to help them with their gyms. And then that's when I realized I had to have jiu-jitsu. So, and I can tell that story in a second too. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and you're a black belt, and I think when we first met, I think that I first met you either at the Super Show or either at a Jack Toffer seminar at Eric Ingram's gym.
Right.
And I can't remember which one came first, but then right after that seminar, I was in Vegas at the Super Show.
I think it was a Jack seminar and then Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been to, I think, 6 of the Super Shows over the years.
Wow.
And I was planning on going this year. I've taught the last 2 summers at college. They taught me and I didn't go. And now, and I was planning on going this summer, and it's
Me
a bummer.
too. Yeah. Well, they're gonna have a pretty big event here in Memphis, believe it or not, in October. So Maya's coming here. Yeah, it's not obviously not be a super show, but unless that's been changed. But as far as I know, the October thing is going to happen. It's a Maya event, so you're more than welcome to come and I, I don't know how it's going to be, but it don't matter. You come under me or with me, I should say, and yeah, come on and do it.
Great.
Be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, it'd be those classes. I can't tell you how beneficial they are. And these guys, like, man, those. I remember Frank Silverman put out a series of videos on YouTube I used to watch all the time. That was just like, you having these events? Here's some ideas on these events that you should be doing. What about this? And just lining out these. It's so inspiring, and I mean, you can't implement it all.
No,
but it's I'm dedicated to the process of continually bettering my business as a martial arts school owner. So those are a resource.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting when I first went there, started working with Silverman and that team, I just didn't believe that, no one believes the numbers, right? Oh, I got so many students and I'm making this kind of money, and people are like, yeah, bullshit. You're not, right? And so I sit down with him, and he was telling me he had one of his locations, I don't remember, but I just remember these numbers. He had 200 members and it's doing $50,000 a month. And I was like, well, I mean, Dave, if you take $50,000 a month and you divide it by two, let me just do it, $50,000 a month, and I hate the wrong button, but $50,000 a month and divide it by 200, it's like, it's $2,500 a person or something crazy. I was like, well, that makes no sense, dude. I mean, you're not charging. And then that's when he would talk about integrated sales. And I was like, what is integrated sales? And this is the process of everything you do, whether it's signing up a new member. There's 5 other ways other than the enrollment process to get money from that member. And I was like, dude, I was not doing that. I was signing him up, and there you go, right? And he's signing him up, getting him a new student packet, and looking at an upgrade 3 months later down the line, and coming to a special event. I mean, he literally had to map out this whole journey on where he could get one person that would spend 3-4 times the amount of money in his school that I was getting per person. So just things like that, man, that were huge for business.
Yeah, man. And, I don't know if it's like my personality type. I listen to audiobooks a lot, but when I hear things like that, like John Donaher's leg locks, he's like, let me tell you about these 10 ways. All right. And then there's 6 subsystems. And then there's 3, but like that 5 ways. And man, just having it all mapped out in a very rational way, which it's easier to implement, and I retain it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's a lot of times it's not about who has the information, right? Because I think a lot of people know how to be successful, or a lot of people know how to leg lock or whatever, but it's who not only has the information, but has the ability to explain it where everybody can understand it, or at least where in certain personalities that I agree with that. I can watch his leg lock seminar like, wow, that makes sense to me. But I can watch another world-class jiu-jitsu person who's truly a badass, but I can watch them where they can teach. I'm like, man, that doesn't make any sense. So it's a lot of times it's just who it is that's explaining it will make it worth its weight in gold, really.
Yeah. So speaking of people explaining jiu-jitsu, you mentioned Master Liborio.
Right.
How did you? And I know, man, I've trained with him only one time, but I know that you've been associated with him for the whole time I've known you, and
yes.
Seen you training with him a lot, posting about it. Caleb had him on his podcast and stuff. And but how did you get hooked up with Liborio?
So, Maya, American Top Team calls Maya and says, look, we want you to send one of your consultants down to help our gym, which is what we did. We helped, a lot of gyms, man. Matt Hughes, you just name it, right? But so I go down to Coconut Creek, and keep in mind now, I got a striking background, but really no jiu-jitsu. I might have watched a couple of VH tapes or something, or had go-kart choke me out, but nothing really formal, right? So I go down there and I'm watching, and I get there, and I was a big UFC fan, but I'd taken a little break from watching every weekend or every month, I should say. But I get down there, I'm like, oh, dude, the next thing I know, I counted like 41 UFC veterans on the mat training in one class. I was like, oh my gosh. So, and it just got me fired up, and Liborio comes walking out, and I didn't know him from Adam, right? And he's like, man, you want to get out there and work out? And I was like, yeah. So I was nervous about it. I was like, oh God. So I get out there. Well, they were just doing the sparring, and and I did all right to be a redneck. I did okay. Well, then Liborio, he said, Robby, come into the octagon. It's the first time I'd ever been into a cage like that. So I walk into the cage, and just them shutting that damn door, I was like, man, freaking me out. But so we get in there, and I'm like, Liborio's, he is what he is, super nice guy. And we start moving around a little bit. Well, next thing you know, he takes me down and submits me, almost before I can even tap out. So I was like, wow, man, I think that's beginner's luck, right? So we get back up, and the timer was set to a 5-minute round, and this guy tapped me out probably 7 times, something outlandish, being a black belt myself, I can't even tap a white belt out 7 times, And I'm like, how the hell? And he took from standing to down to tap out this. And so I was like, okay. Because in my mind, I was like, dude, first of all, these jiu-jitsu guys are going to have to get me to the ground. That's first of all, Second of all, they're going to, but I didn't realize how easy first of all was going to happen, So I get taken down, and then make a long story short, I was like, I've got to learn jiu-jitsu. I almost went to a panic mode. I was like, I think I've been training my whole life, and all somebody's got to do is tackle me down, and I'm getting my ass kicked. So I was like, immediately, I said, Liborio, so anyway, it was a long journey, but I've been with him ever since that day, literally.
Man, that is an interesting thing to think about. I've always trained. I started off doing MMA, and then I had been trained about 18 months, and then we added the Brazilian, the gi program. Right. But it was just no gi, kickboxing. MMA is what we were doing with Caleb, like 06.
Right.
But that's interesting to think about, because, you have your ego shattered anytime you do your jiu-jitsu, just like what you talked about. Yeah. I never really thought about that too much. I've heard like Mr. Dring talk about it, but you're like high level in one area, and then this other deficiency, and man, that's got to be something similar to.
Yeah. It was funny because you watch it. A lot of people respond differently. A lot of people, when this happens, will just not do it because they're some awesome kickboxer or some awesome other martial art, and they do get the floor mopped with them, so they just will stay away from jiu-jitsu. Like, oh, I'm not going over there because it is going to hurt my ego, and I'm not going to be good at it. And I'll make excuses, and then other people, me for example, I got to learn this because this is man, there's no way I can let this happen. And so, but it's been one of the greatest things, and that's where I spend most of all my time is training is in the jiu-jitsu. And I like the Liborio because I had the freedom to jump around and train with Roy Dean and Jack, like we're talking about, and just countless other, instructors. He's open-minded. I said, hey, I'll pick this up, and he'll say, yeah, I like that, or he'll critique it a little bit to fit my body type or whatever. But Liborio was a fantastic instructor, and probably, not probably, but even a better person, really. Fantastic instructor and even better person.
How long have you been doing jiu-jitsu now? How many years?
I think I got with him, I think it was like 04, 05, something like that, So I got my black belt, let's see, when did I go? 3 or 4 years ago? Not long ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. And I still know nothing. I'm almost embarrassed of where I go. So I'm like, hey, man, I got a black belt, but I know nothing, because I am, I'm an old man, but I love it. It motivates me that's what motivates me to get on the mat,
It is weird going through all the belts. I've had my black belt for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But it is weird going through all the belts, and then you're a black belt, and you're not only a black belt, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. So in the black belt pool. And it's just it's a mindset shift. I think about things totally different now. Like there's no, I'm going to get my purple, I'm going to move to brown next. And that'll probably happen in 18 months.
Right.
It's different, man, in so many ways, but I actually like it. it was a weird feeling to get it, and it's been great having that pressure gone. Just thinking about the belts,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's also didn't you have another pressure because you came up all these years looking at the black belt and says, oh, look at these black, and plus you're kicking your butt, and you get your black belt and you're like, I don't for some reason think I'm that good as they were, then you realize that being a black belt now for 2 or 3 years, wow, we're way better now than the day you got your black belt. It's like, wow, I'm not even the same category, so that motivates me to go, what am I going to look like in 3 more years? You know what I mean? I'm sure my age will catch up with me, but even then, you become smarter, not to rely on the physical aspects of it as much. So, yeah, it's been great, man. It's been really a great journey and it's a great tool for life. I think that people miss that part of it. It's like you can take everything, the struggles of jiu-jitsu, and they help you with the struggles of life. So it's been a great ride for sure.
So karate, jiu-jitsu, Superfoot, what else, what do you have going on currently? And, do you have any future plans for your schools or stuff you're working on developing?
Yeah, well, I think, right now we definitely want to open up some more locations. This pandemic that we went through really showed the power of having, because, I feel like, man, the guys that have one location that are, dude, that's it. Where I was able to pull from a lot of different instructors. For example, when we started doing the Zoom classes, I would have one set of instructors for that school. They worked one day, and that's what they Zoom, right? Because then the next day another location. So all my guys only really have to work one day, and that would give them time to do other stuff because they weren't going to do. So anyway, make a long story short, we definitely want to open up some more locations. That's something that we want to do because I think the strength is in the numbers there. But that's probably the biggest business thing that we're doing. We're still training. I believe that, to have a successful school, it's going to start with a product. It's like having a restaurant. And I think me and you could open up a restaurant, and I think we could fill it full of people on grand opening night. But how many of those people are going to come back, for that experience? Every Saturday night on their date night, they go to the same place every Saturday night. Or how many can we get? If everybody's going on date nights, how many date nights will our restaurant get? Right. Well, the food has got to be great. The environment's got to be great. Staff has got to be great. Everything's got to be on par or better, right? To get them to come back in. And I think that's the same thing with the schools. Is like that's why we kind of focused on got our black belt. I got my black belt in Krav Maga a few years ago. Very tough art to actually get a black belt in, believe it or not. But we did that because it really kind of showed that, or statistics that showed that from an adult standpoint, adults like the Krav, right? They love jiu-jitsu too, but jiu-jitsu is like almost like a special forces, man. It's like this elite team. You have to have the right mindset to do jiu-jitsu. Not everybody has it. So from a commercial standpoint, Krav Maga made sense. So we put that in there. Of course, we got jiu-jitsu and the karate. And for kids, part of me is like, man, let's teach jiu-jitsu and Krav Maga to the kids. But, man, for some reason, the taekwondo and the karate systems just do really well for children, And trust me, I've tried to tweak it every which way. You can do anything. Of course you can do it. But I think ultimately having a system for each group has been a good thing. It's almost like going to school. You teach school. The curriculum's got to be different for an 8-year-old than it does a 12-year-old, right? So have different curriculums for different stages.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, did I see that you're also commentating fights for V3?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, well,
that's awesome.
It's not really. I actually am the president of V3, and so.
Oh yeah. Wow, awesome.
But it's funny. I said before we announced before we make the announcement that I'm the president of V3, I want to commentate a fight. I was like, I got to do this, and a couple of my buddies were doing it. They did a couple fights, and I was like, man, that looks like that'd be fun just to go in and commentate a fight. And part of it is like, because you can know all you want, but to be able to commentate a fight's completely different. You got to be almost a step ahead and really be focused. And it's a lot harder than it is. Joe Rogan does a damn good job at that because that's not an easy thing to do. So I went down and met with all the V3 guys, the president, the owner of V3, and a couple of the other people that were involved, and they actually came to Vegas. They came to Vegas, and not for the Super Show, but for something else unrelated. And Jason Liederfein was down there. I met him and took him through the Super Show. And anyway, they just said, look, man, we'd like for you to be the president, of V3. I thought, man, I thought about it for a while. I thought, why not? I think I can bring some stuff. Now, we haven't had a lot of time to fire because this epidemic just hit, but we got some pretty good things in the works that's going to really bring, the Mid-South and blow up our MMA community for sure. So we've already started to implement some things, but I think, in the very near future, we're going to be seeing a lot more of the V3 on a national stage. So we're pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Did you watch the fights the other night? No. My wife wasn't feeling very well, and it's Mother's Day. So I said, look, we were out to dinner. I had to chalk it up to Mother's Day. I lost Mother's Day won, but I wanted to see him so bad, man. Yeah. Well, see, I think in the past, a few times, Bryce Mitchell, he's from Arkansas, friend of mine, been on the podcast.
Yep.
And, man, he put on a twister clinic in that fight. Like, it was insane. He put the guy in the truck and put him in a twister. I mean, the second round, the bell went off. The guy was in a twister. Like, several times from a twister arm triangle, the guy had his hand ready to tap. And I was just like,
man, hey, that dude's for real, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That and then Tony Ferguson's face.
I think he was fighting another buddy of mine, Roger Crawls, one of his guys, American Top Team guy out of Florida. I'm pretty sure. I didn't know this until I was on Facebook and I see Roger posting. I'm like, oh, he's one of these guys. Who's he fighting? I was like, oh God, I'm not saying anything. I'm just gonna, I got two. I know both of them, so I'm like, I'm just sit over here and let it play out. But yeah, he's phenomenal, man.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Yeah, man. I believe that is how I first started like charting V3 is because Willie, one of Bryce's coaches, and Bryce, and he had some other guys, Wade Johnson and pros and amies at the time, and they would go fight on V3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. V3's always, I thought, have always done a really good job, as far as the production and the professionalism and cause, obviously there's other fight, organizations out there. And of course, as a fan, as a spectator, I've been to all of them to watch. And I've always just thought V3 was like, man, this is the closest to the big time in this area that you're going to get to, So when that opportunity came about, I was like, man, I think I can, I think I may have a little bit to add to that and help them get to that next level. So I've been there, I guess, about 9 months or so. Well, we started talking about it after last year's Super Show. And then I think it was like October, I think we made the official announcement that I was the president of V3. So it's been an interesting, I had a lot to learn about it. I thought I knew about MMA, but the business side and the matchmaking and all that, I'm like, y'all are teaching me stuff because I don't know. This is all new to me.
Something I don't know a lot about, but just what I've dealt with as a coach and cornering a bunch of MMA fights over the years and going to a bunch is the varying differences in the state athletic commissions on amateur rules. Just how the athletic commissions handle things in general. Oklahoma and Arkansas, vastly different in a lot of regards.
Right. Yeah, it is, and I'm still learning that too. Because we have fights, and obviously in Tennessee, but we've been doing some down at the Tunica Casino. So you're dealing with the Mississippi guys, and I'm still, trust me, I'm still learning. Luckily, there's people on our team that know how to handle that way better than I do. So I get to, like I said, it's been a big learning process for me, but I've enjoyed that journey. So it's been good.
Nice. Well, right on, man. Well, I'll keep an eye out for that Maya conference coming up because, man, that is just a short distance away. And Corey and I, we've got friends in Memphis, Eric and them. So we'll have to make it up that way.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I don't know the exact day. I'm pretty sure it's in October. I'm at 95% sure it's in October. I just don't know what day it is. But yeah, y'all should come up for that because there'll be a lot of martial arts in town. I'm gonna probably try to do something fun, maybe some seminars, maybe have Bill. I had Bill Wallace and Liborio, which is really cool. I had both of them on the same day. Wow. So you take one from Superfoot, then one, then some stayed, some didn't, but then you have Liborio, which was cool to have both my instructors where I got my black belts from teaching them the same day. And of course we all went out to dinner and, it It was just a good time. So thinking about doing something like that, I get, just got to find out where we're going to be by October, as far as this pandemic is concerned. Hopefully we'll be out of the woods, but who knows?
Yeah, it is a little uncertainty still. And man, it's, I'm hoping to, we have only 7 active cases in our community. So that's good. Yeah. And I'm hoping to see those numbers just continue to flatten down, and then we can start having kids classes and stuff. So that'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I'm ready to get back to some normalcy, brother, for real.
Likewise.
We need to do some seminars. I'm jonesing for jiu-jitsu so bad, man.
Yeah, I did. I will say something I did recently I never thought I'd do. I'm doing another one on Friday. Just kind of comes along with the situation. Is Jack Toffer. I've done 2 private lessons with him on Zoom since we've been closed down. Just like get me and Core together, or, me and one of my guys, and just Zoomed it up with him, and worked on real specific stuff, all guard for these first 3 lessons and stuff I picked up from him. And it's great, man, because he does privates with, he does privates with Hickson and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Man, I've got so much from him. He's one of those I was talking about earlier that has the ability. Not only does he have the knowledge, but he has the ability to explain it. And he hits and I love instructors who teach what I call the gray area. Because, arm bar, triangle choke, everybody wants to teach a technique, that ends with a submission. But I like training with him because he tightens up the process to get to that submission, which was huge for me. It's like, oh, man, all about where your hips are. And, we were in it together. But such a good, that's the type of stuff that you really can't get most people to teach, because they're more trying to teach you the cool jiu-jitsu and versus, man, this is things that most instructors don't even talk about unless you're training with them day in and day out. So I love Jack's stuff, man. Really, really good.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to relate to people that haven't felt it, or man, those 2 Hickson seminars that were, where he got his red belt, and then through the Super Show. Those are some of the most. That is the most profound jiu-jitsu seminar I've ever attended. For sure.
Oh, man, he's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Really, really is. It was funny that night, after he got his red belt or whatever, there was a UFC that Saturday night, right, in Vegas, and I last minute had made the decision to go. So I go, and I get some tickets left for me, and will call. Well, the freaking line for this will call is out the door, right? But I'm in the line. Well, now I've been waiting in line for 40 minutes, it seems like, God, man, I'm going to miss the damn fight if y'all don't hurry up. So we finally get to that. I'm finally sitting up there, and I look back, and there's Hickson standing in the back of the line with a T-shirt on and some jeans. I'm like, what is he doing in the back of the line? Does anybody know who that is? I'm like, why is he back there? First of all, you would think somebody brought him right in the back door, right? And I'm looking back, I'm like, well, I got to do something, So I start waving him over here, come here. And he says, he just nodded and said, no. I was like, okay. And I go, okay, but you can come on, No. I was like, okay. And man, it wasn't probably, I'm standing there about another 4 minutes. He taps me on the shoulder. He goes, okay, I'm cool. I was like, yeah. So he decided, wait a minute, I can wait in this line for 45 minutes where I could just, come up here. So he came up there, and anyway, we hung out, and it was a cool moment. Just, I felt like I did something for a legend, I was like, man, you taught a great seminar the last couple of days, but at least I can do is skip you to the front of the line. I'm not worried about anybody saying anything, so, and everybody was like, wait a minute, is that who we think it is? They couldn't figure it out. It was fun, man. It was fun.
Was that, I believe this is the same year, because I was reliving this from the fights this weekend, but that weekend, I think, was when Michael Johnson fought Justin Gagey.
I don't remember. I really don't remember. It could be a couple of years. What was a couple of years ago? It wasn't last year. It was the year before, I think.
Yeah.
Man, time starts just, I get all, I'm like, what's today? How did it get Monday already? So.
Man, there's something circulating from the Super Show that I shared it. Like, people tag me it periodically because I'm in the video, but it was a Greg Jackson seminar from the Super Show 2015. So 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like me and two of my students and this good friend of mine, Nate from Inferno. And like people are like, oh man, you guys are right there. But man, it doesn't seem like 5 years ago is the point.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. Time just flies.
It does indeed.
That's good. But yeah, everything's good, man. Business is good, schools are good, training's good, and loving life right now.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, man, Robby, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast. Like I said, I've always kind of been inspired by being around you and love listening to you talk and give your presentations at the Super Show. So it's been great getting to catch up.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. I have a lot of respect for you, and you're always a great jiu-jitsu practitioner and a great guy. And so I love what you're doing, love your podcast, and well, let me know. Maybe we can get Liborio. Maybe all three of us can do it or something. It'd be kind of fun.
Oh, that would be super cool. I will.
Yeah,
definitely.
man.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's
cool.
do it. Let's do it. And come to
All
Memphis and let's connect. And love to see you.
Likewise. Thanks, Robby.
All right, brother. You be good.
Take it easy, man.
Yes, sir. See you soon.
See ya.